All right, for this first practice sheet, we're going to practice what are called flat washes. Okay, I talked about this a little bit in doing your swatches to try to get them as flat and even as possible, but now we're going to do it over a larger area. And I'm going to show you a couple of different methods for doing that, and then you can decide which one you like best. And in doing this, I'm going to use the largest of the flat brushes that we have. You always want to use the largest brush possible because you always want to cover your area quickly to work as quickly as possible. And we're just going to be filling in this whole area, so you want to use your big brush. So the first one, this first rectangle, we're just going to paint in blue. And I'm going to do what's called wet on dry. I have dry paper here, and I'm just going to mix up a big puddle of blue, of my cobalt blue. Water it down a little bit. I want to make sure I've got plenty. I want it to be pretty fluid so that it all fills in all the gaps and kind of runs together. And I'm going to paint, I think I'm going to tilt my board for this. All right, and we just simply take our paint, start at the top, and just start working our way down from top to bottom. You don't ever want it to dry out too much. You want to keep working. You got to have your paint ready to go, and you want to use a large brush working from top to bottom and quick, you see I just make a couple of strokes, and then maybe I'll just finish it off with a few quick strokes to kind of blend everything, and you get a nice flat even tone. I'm going to lay it down, and that's it. That's all there is to it. But I had to work quickly. You notice I just did a couple of strokes, and then I grabbed some more paint, couple of strokes, more paint, couple of strokes, more paint. That's so that everything stays fluid and all the color runs together and ends up all nice and even. You get a nice flat even tone. And I made it to the bottom fast enough that the top was still wet, so I could do a few strokes. What you don't want to do is at any point is dip into your water and then throw some down on there, because what happens, this starts to soak in and dry a little bit, and then all of a sudden you take wet water, which is more fluid, and you'll get that cauliflower. You'll get these like little flowers. It's kind of like how rain, will, if you were sprinkled water on here, you just get all these little like star shapes, and you don't want that. So you got to work quickly. You can't let it dry out, because if you have changes in fluidity, one's partially dry and one's more wet, it's not going to end up flat and even. So you've got to work quickly when you do that. That's why I say use a large brush too. You also want to make sure you clean up along your edges so that you don't smear any of that. Take a paper towel, just kind of run it down there, soak up some of that excess paint. Because you don't want to accidentally smear that onto your painting or onto the next area, and sometimes it can puddle along the edges and create a dark outline as well.